my seat, and I've never felt more out of place in my entire life. So Dad and I give it like 5 or 10 minutes just to make sure there weren't any Rockettes coming. I guess they had the day off. And then we ducked out of there with our heads down. And to this day, I still don't know if Dad orchestrated the whole thing as payback for the skunk incident. So my dad supports children's theater. What else should we know about my dad? Well, he loves his family like a crazy person. There's absolutely nothing he won't do for his family. When we were growing up, Dad's mornings looked a lot like this. He would wake up all the kids, then he would pack lunches for 4. He'd wake Andy up again, make breakfast for 4, then wake Andy up a 3rd time, and then get us off to school on time. Andy ate breakfast in the car a lot. But school was a really big deal growing up. I think it's pretty common for parents, good parents, to want their kids to be better educated, like have a better education than they did. And it wasn't any different for my parents. And Dad made that really hard because he was valedictorian of his high school, graduated magna cum laude of his college, and then went on to get his master's degree and specialist degree in education administration. So we were fighting an uphill battle. But Dad helped us every step of the way. He always helped us with our homework, always tutored us, always made sure we're playing sports and doing extracurriculars, everything you need to do to get into some of the best colleges in the country. And then when we did get into those colleges, my mom and Dad, they did everything in their power to make sure that they paid for our college educations. And to this day, you know, I think about the sacrifices they made to make sure that we have the life that we have. And I think to myself, I'm the luckiest person in the world that I have these 2 people as my parents. And so my dad's not only the friendliest person that I know, he's also the most generous person I know. He's always doing things for other people. He's always putting his family first. And in a word, it's just amazing. So that's my dad in a nutshell. He's just a really amazing guy. And I said that he loves to learn. And he learned well from his dad. And, you know, my grandpa was not a perfect man, but he was second to none when it came to neighborliness and generosity. And if Grandpa's looking down tonight, I know he's proud of these qualities in my dad. I know that I certainly am. So with that, I don't have a drink, but let's propose a toast to, so in the words of my father and my father's father, don't let them be afraid of you. Happy birthday, guys.
Wow, now I get my chance.
Yes, the skunk repellent?
Most of that was true. I think many of you know that I spent 13 years at a seminary. Started in 9th grade and went to a minor seminary for 4 years. Then went to novitiate for 1 year, actually 15 months, spiritual training. And I was going to be a priest. And I was from about 5th grade on, I was bound and determined I was going to be a priest. And we had this really friendly priest come from the Priest of the Sacred Heart, Donaldson, Indiana, who came to visit us on our farmstead up in Todd County. And he said, you know, you should come to the minor seminary. And I said, well, I want to go to the seminary, but I think I want to wait till after high school. He says, no, no, no. A lot of vocations are lost. A lot of vocations to the priesthood are lost. And I think he was talking about when the hormones start kicking in. So So I went to the seminary, very happy there, did very well there. Went to this novitiate. That was wonderful also. That was in St. Marie, Illinois. Then went to 4 years of philosophy in Honesdale, Pennsylvania. Decided that the priests of the Sacred Heart, for which I was studying, sent all of their people back into the seminaries to teach Latin and Greek and French and music and everything. And I wanted to go to the missions. I wanted to do pastoral work. So I decided that the priests of the Sacred Heart were not for me. I was going to do pastoral work. So the only way I could do that, I figured, was to become a diocesan priest. So I went to St. Paul Seminary through the Diocese of Duluth, because that's where our parents lived at that time. Got some Duluth, Silver Bay people here. And then I lasted for 3 years there in theology, and then I decided that there's a difference between a vocation to the priesthood and a vocation to celibacy. And the church didn't see it that way. So I left the seminary and I went back for another year to finish my master's degree in sacramental theology. And I think it was in my last year, no, my second last year of theology that I met Sally. I didn't leave the seminary for Sally. I wish I would have. Eventually I saw the light, and 4 years later we got married. And now I feel extremely, I said to Sally the other day, I feel extremely lucky. And she said, no, the word isn't lucky, the word is blessed, and that's true. Sally and I have been very blessed with 4 amazing children, 3 amazing grandchildren, and when we first had our first grandchild, our little Audrey, wherever she is, if you haven't met her, she's way above average. And Everett and George are way above average too, but they're just starting to blossom. When we had our first grandchild, Sally was just crazy about being a new grandparent. I thought, this grandparent thing is really crazy. I mean, I had plans when I retired that we were going to move to Hawaii. We bought a condo there and we were going there. And but then the grandchildren started showing up, and I'm telling you, there is nothing as beautiful and as great as being a grandparent. And I love those 3 grandchildren to pieces. And I'll give up Hawaii, I'll give up anything so I can have some time with the grandkids. Okay, so just another quick story. When we were in the seminary, we had no transportation, because when we were in the Priests of the Sacred Heart, they provided cars for us so we could go off and do our thing. Well, we wanted to teach religious education classes at St. William's Parish and Transfiguration Parish, and they wanted seminarians because, you know, we supposedly knew what we were talking about. And we didn't have a car. So we bought a car for $12. It was a Simca. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the brand name Simca. There was a Simca, and we paid $12. And the reason we only paid $12 was because the fellow that was selling it to us had just bought the license plate, the new license plate for it, and he paid $12. He was just glad to get rid of it. So first thing we did was we drove down to Iowa to visit our Uncle Bud and Aunt Margaret. They lived on a farm. They were very wealthy. They always drove Cadillacs. And when we drove onto their farm, my Uncle Bud came out and he looked at the Simca and he says, "What is this?" And I said, "Well, it's a Simca." And he said, "No, no, 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 no. This is a Rolls Canardly."
Yeah.
I said, "No, it's not a Rolls Canardly." He said, "Yes, it is. It rolls down one hill and it can hardly make it up the next." It lasted for a couple of years, and we sold it again for $12. Yeah.
Well played.
Anyway, I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. It's totally, totally a surprise to me. I don't know how they did that. But as you get to be this old, you start to miss a whole lot. I was telling somebody tonight at Guardian Angels Parish, which is our home parish for the last 22 years, I used to be able to walk into the 9 o'clock Mass and the 11 o'clock Mass, and I knew every family in there, and I knew all of their kids' names, almost all of their kids' names. Now I can walk in there, I don't know anybody. I don't even know my own name half. But, so anyway, getting old isn't all that much fun, but it sure beats the alternative. I want to thank all of you for coming. You're beautiful people. I'm blessed to have you as sisters and neighbors and friends and people from St. Francis and people from Woodbury and people from everywhere. I'm not going to name names because I'm afraid I might miss somebody. But I want to mention Hui here.
Hui!
Hui is the youngest child of the Pham family. And a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, the Pham family invited us to go to Vietnam and to spend a couple of weeks in Vietnam to visit their home that they left behind, and to meet some of their acquaintances over there. So with fear and trepidation, we went to Vietnam, and we hooked up with 5 of the Pham family. And they chauffeured us around Vietnam, and it was a beautiful experience. But Hui, I think, was like 2 years old when we arrived in Rochester. He was 2 whenever you left Vietnam, I think, right? Yeah, he was the youngest. Anyway, I had him, when I was principal, I had him as a student, and he was in Ryan's class, I think. Same class as Ryan?
One year between.
Oh, okay, anyway, close. And just to have the Pham family as our friends has just been a wonderful experience for us. And we often have them over for visits and whatever. And I was, a couple of weeks ago, I said to Hui, he had put together a nice computer for my sister Melissa. And I mentioned to him that I'd like him to come to my birthday party. and so he said, well, I don't know, I think I might be in Houston because my parents are going to be in Houston and I might drive to Houston. I don't know if that was part of the plot or not. But what's so terrific about this family is that they are such good people, and they are so intelligent people, and such dedicated to their faith. that they're an inspiration to me and to all of our family. And in addition to that, Hui is so good with computers that every time I lose everything on my computer, I can take it to him and he spends the next 3 weeks getting it all back. And I am so grateful because when I was writing my dad's biography, I lost everything twice. And he got it all back. And so now he's got my computer set up with all kinds of backup systems so that I can't do that. Anyway, you're all beautiful people.
Qui's the
I
best.
love you dearly, and I thank you for coming tonight. This has made it a very special occasion, and I hope that you can stick around and we can talk about old times again.
Nice.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Where's Ryan? Does he have an idea?
Not me.
Where's